Hey, what's up, brother? So I finally got a little bit of time to be able to do this, but yeah, man. I mean, so one of your questions was if I could go back, in time, would I go back and redo the bar? And the answer is absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those experiences that you know you don't ever want to pass up on something just because you're worried about the result. Yeah, even if I could foresee everything happening, which I did. I mean, honestly, as I was going through it, even before I went into the bar industry, I knew, I didn't know the whole, gravity of the entire politics involved with bars, but I did understand there was politics involved. Now, like I said, I'd go back and experience that all again. I mean, I lived a very, very, very rock star type of existence for like 2 years. I mean, it was unimaginable. The things I was able to do, the life I was able to live. It's just between running the actual bar, the recognition behind it, the like the women and everything else, man. It was wild. It was just a wild experience. And then the thing about that is you don't want to get sucked in, and I'm gonna kind of branch off. You're young, you're very far away from being able to, and I'm not taking anything away from you, but if you were to do it, I would say you would want to do it in your 30s. I'd say I probably did it maybe at the best time I possibly could have. I was just in a position in life where I was experienced enough to know, and to know fake from real, bullshit from what I needed to do. You get these people coming in talking about, oh yeah, man, I'll be your best friend, I'll do this, I'll do that, and then you got employees trying to get over on you in every which way. And because I was experienced, because I had over 10 years of business experience already, and having dealt with things like this, I knew how to separate the bullshit. I didn't fall into the trap of, oh yeah, you're my friend because you're being friendly. You know what I mean? There's a difference. A lot of people do things for their own benefit, which is okay. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is, you have to, one of the big points, and this is a big piece of advice for you, is every relationship should be mutually beneficial. Right? And by that I mean, if you're interacting with someone, you both should be benefiting from that interaction. If only one person's benefiting from the interaction, it's not an interaction, it's charity. That is kind of the definition of charity, is when you give and receive nothing in return. People think, oh, donating is charity. No, it's not. You receive tax breaks in return. You receive recognition in return. That's not charity. Charity is giving without receiving. Now, business relationships obviously do not survive. Relationships in general do not survive off of charity, right? So another big mark is to understand when to end the relationship, whether it is a friendship, a business relationship, intimate relationship, whatever. Understanding that you're no longer benefiting from the relationship, and that's not a bad thing. So that's a misconception that a lot of people have, is they think that, oh, because this person is now ending our relationship, they're a bad person. No, absolutely not. Again, if you're not both benefiting from the relationship should not exist. And you ending a relationship, which would end, how someone else benefits off of you, that's not hurting them. That is simply removing yourself, removing your benefit from their life, right? So it's really important to know when to end those, because they will drag you down. They will hold you back. They will, prevent you from progressing to the next level. Now, I think another one, because I can't really go back. My other phone's off, and I'm recording this video, so I can't go back to your message. But I'm trying to remember what else you said, and kind of to wrap up what your question on the bar thing is. Try shit. Try anything that you want to do. Try it. If you fail, then you failed. The thing about it is, if you fail, you have more insight on how to do it better next time. You know what I mean? That's invaluable experience. That's something that you can't be taught in school. Just try it and be like, damn, man, I did that. I failed. Lost a lot of money. I lost some friends. I lost it. I lost that. But I'm much more wise because of it. I'm much more experienced because of it. So, and then I have a story behind it. You know what I mean? I can go back and say, oh yeah, man, I did this, I did that, I did this, even if I'm talking to myself. But it's really cool to other people too to hear, you know. You really can't give advice unless you fail. At the end of the day, I mean, you have to succeed as well. You know, you have to have a good, you know, combination of both. But, you know, without failure, you really don't know what not to do. You know what I mean? And it's really important to know what not to do, because if you get so high, if you get to a level of success to where you fail and failure is, that's it, it's detrimental. It's to the point of maybe you go to jail for the rest of your life and you're like, oh, what can I do? What mistake could I make that's that severe? A lot, many, there's several. There is a lot of things that you can do that can completely destroy your entire life. And it's better to make those mistakes on a much smaller scale, because then the repercussions aren't so great. You know what I mean? There's a lot less that can happen when your success is down here rather than when your success is up here. You know, it's what they say, that the bigger you are, the harder you fall. You know, in my case, I had many very, very close calls with where my life could have just ended. You know, I've been charged for 2 counts of capital murder. I've you know, almost had my life taken away from me a couple times, you know, physically. You know, there's just a lot of things I've done in life to where they could have just went south. And, you know, my big thing is, you know, energy of the universe. You put good energy in, you get good energy out. I'm not a big person of luck. Luck is fabricated. Luck is more of a product of what energy you put out into the universe. And not all apparently good things like winning the lottery are really advantageous situations. You know, there's a lot of people that won the lottery and died a few years later because of their newfound wealth, you know, and it's so fast and you get introduced to a whole new life, but that's a whole nother story. Anyways, put good energy in, get good energy out, meaning that in those situations when my life could have ended and it didn't, I honestly believe that's a product of my energy that I put out into the universe. Now, you know, again, there have been times where, oh man, I ended up in jail, and I was in jail for a year on those charges. That was a blessing in disguise. That was a lesson early on enough in my life to where the repercussions weren't permanent, that taught me, man, this is possible. Let's avoid this in the future. Because if that didn't happen to me that early on in life, it most definitely would have happened to me in the future. And the repercussions may have been irrecoverable, you know? So there's that. Some other advice for you, man. You're young. You're 19, 20. Education. And I know it sounds cliche, and I'm not saying, you know, go enroll into your, you know, bunch of college courses or anything. But get an education. You know, because an education, at least, you know, higher education, like, you know, collegiate education, it's not more so for the degree, it's for the ability to learn how to learn. Like, there's certain things that you can, that you're taught in college to where it enables you to think beyond, to access different parts of your brain, to be like, okay, I may not be using Pythagorean's theorem. However, the same neurons that I use to access the knowledge needed to execute Pythagorean's theorem are the same neurons that I now can use to execute this other thing that is now much more productive to me. But had I not known how to access those neurons in the first place, I would not be able to know how to execute this, right? And a lot of what I do is a product of the education that I've received. You know, a lot of the business ideas, the way I move around, the way, you know, the choices I make, I would not be able to navigate the really the monopoly board is the best way to personify it, of life, of the business life, had I not, pursued a degree in computer engineering from the Naval Academy. There's a lot of things that I learned and I was exposed to throughout my academic, career, to where it enabled me to be able to interact in different social levels, essentially. So I paused because, I didn't always used to look like this, right? This is a very, very new look for me, and it's because I can now. Now, when I was your age, and when I first got out of college and first got out of the Navy, well, actually more so when I first got honorably discharged as a naval officer, I was just bald fade, very plain, no tattoos showing below the sleeves. Something, a look where I could look professional, could look society's view of what is considered professional. And that's really important starting out. Like it or not, it is important. You have to grow your roots first, right? You have to build your portfolio. You have to win the awards. You have to, you can't sit up here and stick your chest out on the football field or the basketball court and never make a shot, right? You can't be like, oh man, I'm the best basketball player ever, and never have won a championship. Now that's where when you do, then you don't have so much to prove, right? You just kind of, your name speaks for itself. After having so many successful businesses, having so many, tax returns over, $500,000 in revenue, consistently year after year after year after year after year, at some point, you're just like, okay, I no longer have to physically fit the mold of what people view as successful. Now I can kind of be myself. Now I can kind of be my own persona and, let my work, let my experience, let my returns, let my profit loss statements, let my businesses, let my asset portfolio speak for itself, essentially. But yeah, starting out, I don't know what level of success you're looking for. I don't know what your, what your end goal is, but if you're looking at just obtaining money, wealth, and you don't care about building a brand, a name, or anything like that, that's one path. And I'm not going to go down every path because they're very long explanations on how to achieve different goals. So, you can, reply to this and let me know what your goals are, and I'll, kind of go down that path and let you, give you my perspective on what I would do if I wanted to obtain that goal. For example, my goal is to build an empire. I'm trying to build a brand, a name, not just the money. Money is easy for me. Making money is easy. That's not very attractive to me, just in the sense of, oh yeah, I'm just trying to make money. I want to build a name. I want to build a brand, which is a lot more difficult because you have to have the face and the name behind it, right? Now, if I wanted to just build wealth, I would do X, Y, and Z. In order to build a brand and a name and a portfolio, to be able to stand behind that and grow off of that and build and scale off of that, that's a whole nother path, right? Now if you're just trying to make enough money to be comfortable, but you still value your free time, you still want a family, you still want this, that, the other, well, that's a whole nother path, right? So depending on what path you're trying to pursue, is going to dictate what steps you'll want to follow throughout that process. And I'm going to tell you, whatever path you choose now is probably going to be a different path in 5 years. It's probably going to be another different path in the 5 years after that. It's probably going to be another different path in the 5 years after that. I don't know. We're all different, but that's how it was for me. You asked me what I wanted to do when I was 21. Actually, you asked me what I wanted to do when I was 16, and then you asked me again what I wanted to do when I was 21, and then you asked me again what I want to do when I was 27. They're all different, way different. And then so were the 5 years after that. And I'm 37 now, and the path that I see myself following has also altered in the last 6 months of what I want to do and where I want to be. The world is constantly changing. We've got AI now, we've got all these robotics, we have all this, the politics of the world and how the social structure is changing, and you can be a billionaire influencer now. That didn't even used to be a thing 10, 15, 20 years ago. The landscape of the economy and the world in general will change your goals as you progress. So big thing is, don't lock in anything. Have a general direction, go in that direction, and then pivot when you need to. What you don't want to do is stay rigid. You don't want to just keep doing something just for the sake of doing it. You know what I mean? Oh, well, I know that this is the way I've been doing it for this long. No. The world is changing, and the world favors those who can change with it. Continuously change. Continuously want to learn and to adapt and to mold yourself to your surroundings. Being able to adapt to your environment, which is probably one of the honestly my greatest talents, I would say, has assisted me greatly throughout my progression in life. So just be liquid, be fluid. If you take up if you play sports, make sure you stay engaged physically in some sort of sport that requires a heavy physical demand from you. That'll keep you healthy. That'll keep your brain healthy. That'll be an outlet for stress and anger and stuff like that. Because you always want to have an outlet for different things. Mental health. Maintain your mental health. Always take time for yourself. Always, kind of reel everything back. And the biggest piece of advice, I'm going to wrap this up, it's pretty long-winded, but the biggest piece of advice that I can offer you is, whatever you do whatever you're proud of doing. Not what your parents are proud of, not what your girlfriend or whatever, not what anybody else is proud of. What are you proud of? Can you wake up and look yourself in the mirror and be like, yeah, man, I'm happy what I'm doing? Now, that doesn't always mean do what you want to do. It means do what you're proud of doing, right? They're two different things. There are going to be, especially in the early portion of your life, the more you sacrifice when you're young, the better your life will be when you're older. Whatever you do, again, just do it in a way where you're like, man, okay, it's, if you accumulate wealth, if you accumulate $10 million by being sleazy, by being a slimeball, by taking advantage of people, by, capitalizing on people's, weaknesses and this and that, and you look at yourself and like you feel disgusted, what's the point? What's the point of all that wealth and money if you can't even be happy with yourself? I'd much rather sit on $300,000, of income every year, rather than sit on, 2.5 million and just hate myself. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's really it in a nutshell, man. I could go on for hours, to be honest with you. But in order to provide focused advice, for you based on your question, because I don't know anything about you, just took a quick look at your profile and then read your message, and then as soon as I got a chance, I made this video. But yeah. Any further questions, man, let me know. I can't promise that I'll be able to respond right away. I'll do my best. But if, communication just ceases altogether, which it happens. I get these messages all the time. I get these bids of advice, these requests for advice, fairly often. Now, I've never really made a video this long or put this much effort into my response. But, if I don't respond, don't take it personal. I am pretty busy. I just so happen to have a good amount of time this morning to be able to do this for you. But yeah, man, continue to follow my page, man. I usually post a lot of a lot of my life experiences, whether good, bad, or otherwise, both business and personal. And feel free to chime in, comment, react. The more you interact with my profile, the more I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, this person is a supporter. This person is trying to, is reciprocating. Remember those mutually beneficial relationships. So, be active on my profile, just because that helps me out, and that helps my, my reach go further. The more people like and comment on my stuff, obviously. So, that took maybe about 20 minutes of my day, which is just kind of crazy, to respond to your message. Just reciprocate. That's all. But all right, man. Best of luck.